Hey everyone, and I'm not gonna talk about the series like you haven't watched the most popular TV series ever. Anyway, today I want to talk about The Clash of Kings by George R.R. Martin. After the event of the first book, the story has been set both for us and for the characters of this world. For us, now we know that everyone is at risk in this story because in the first book, Ned died, which is for most of the book he's the main character of the series. But because of his death, now we know that this world is not safe for everyone, and the character that we will eventually care about in the story will always be in the state of danger. Now, besides that, there are two other major deaths that cause a significant change to the world of the Seven Kingdoms, even if we don't care about those characters. It's a turning point in their history and will follow the dominoes effect of those events. The storytelling using different point of view of the characters in each chapter is really carrying on how many things are happening in the world at the same time. After Robert died in the Seven Kingdoms, now there are about 5 men claiming to be the true king. Meanwhile, a red comet is hanging above everyone's head, and every party have their own interpretation about the comet that benefit their party the most. The use of POV, as I said, is back, and this time with more characters, but the story and the world still move even when we change POV. So it's not like it added some kind of a boomerang effect. It always adds to the progression of the world and also the characters. The prologue, just like the first book, used POV of a single unimportant character to set the stage. And then Tyrion is the more well-fleshed in the book, with more of his past being told as he went to become the hand of strategist of the Baratheon Kingdom. He also had the most chapters for him and even appearances in other chapter characters' POV. Arya and Sansa both embodied the loss of innocence theme, albeit in different routes, with Arya having to run away from the castle and Sansa being stuck there unable to escape. Their story really juxtapose each other really well, and there are more similarities than there are differences in how alone they are. Jon and Daenerys still doesn't add much to the main story because they're away. They're also still mostly at the setup part for their character arcs outside the kingdom, but they both start to uncover more about the world outside the wall and across the sea. Daenerys will get closer to the kingdom as Jon is being led further away from the wall. They're still mostly good people in their youth trying to find a place they can belong in their own messed up situation. Bran and Theon also complement each other. They both feels like people out of place. Bran because of the loss of his legs function, and Theon because he's feeling like a captive in the Stark family, and also when he went home he still feels like an outsider, that he didn't belong there. It is kind of fitting that they both ended up clashing. Then there's a small portion of the point of view of Davos, Stannis follower, so we can follow Stannis and what's happening there, and lastly the point of view of Catelyn. I think she might be the most important character point of view in this book because of how much she moves and how much she functions in the story. She's a grieving wife, she's a negotiator, she's a recruiter, she's a grieving mother, and she's also a grieving daughter. Each chapter with her POV, she had to change who she is because of the events of the world. And the most boring of the POVs may be Bran and Theon, but that's mostly because they both are insecure kids and they tend to project their own cowardice and insecurities in, bad ways. They're also characters that hasn't been well established during the first book, so their story are a bit slower in comparison to the others' POV. The second book also add more fantasy element into the story. In the first book we know that the world of Game of Thrones have prophecies and dragon, but it hasn't had much effect to the story itself. But in this book, with the appearance of the Dead Walkers and the 3 dragons and the Fire Priestess, a lot of them can have a bigger impact in the story. The way they introduce magic in this story is really good. They make them seem like it's just another superstitious thing that people in this world believe in. Then suddenly, it is used to kill one of the king in such an impactful event. So yeah, magic leaves a lasting impression in this book. That still comes easy to the people in the world, but most of the in the story impact the world or the character in an insignificant way. So they didn't become cheap gimmick for shock, especially because in this book, the people who died are not the people that we can consider main characters, even though they are important characters. The storytelling in this book is amazing in ways I don't think we'll see again. Every part of this book really feels like a clock gears where everything works in tandem in order for it to work. I spent more than 3 months reading this book alongside all the other books that I reviewed already, and it is definitely worth it. That's about it.